Evening, y'all. This is Dylan Scott with my week 3 current events video submission. I just want to say thanks for those that responded to my body armor video from last week. Got some pretty cool feedback from that. So this week I am doing my video submission on the NFPA. Possibly setting a standard on active shooters within schools. So kind of just give you a quick rundown of it. NFPA council is looking to set some standards on training, personnel, equipment, protocols, operations, objectives, all that stuff for active shooter situations. That's going to be ANSI approved. So they're going out seeking professional opinions, trying to get a committee going. So it's very early in the stages, but that's interesting. So on the article, it even kind of brings up some questions that, kind of looking for feedback from, fire departments, districts, and everything, and personnel on what their kind of needs are, what they would like to see and stuff. So it's pretty neat. So I'll talk about what my fire department does and what we have in place. I've mentioned it in actually like 2 or 3 different papers already. At the Hebron Fire Department, we implement a program called SAVE. It's a program that was actually developed by one of my captains, Bill Fletcher. The SAVE program, which is Swift Assisted Victim Extrication. It's a pretty neat program that him and a couple other guys developed. They've traveled around the country teaching this to other schools, counties, states, and everything. Boone County doesn't have an actual active shooter policy for fire and EMS. It's kind of weird. Each school is left to make its own policy for active shooter situations besides the lockdown. So the SAVE program is pretty neat. It's a 24-hour course that works hand in hand with the fire and police. So there's about half of our department that's taken the training and gone through it. So what it is we're trained to actually go in even when there's still a possibility of an active shooter within the school. We set up a program where we have 3 police officers in front of us and then 1 police officer behind us, so we're covered at all times, and then with the EMT or medic or SWAT medic in the center. What the goal is exactly what the name says, is swift extrication. We'll go along, just pretty much do a quick triage, leave the blacks, try to fix the reds. Doesn't immediately fix, we continue over, and then we extricate yellows, and then of course walking wounded will extricate themselves. It's a pretty neat program. It's very intense. We go into these schools and train at night, just because of course the kids aren't in there, and we try to train with all the 3 shifts. So we're usually doing it at 2-3 in the morning, and it lasts quite long. It's exhausting, hard work for the fire department to tag up and work with the police department and have a plan in place is huge. Right now, if there's an active shooter within a school, we know what to do. It's going to be chaos, but hopefully it's organized chaos, and that we can immediately go in and start being able to help victims, because I know a lot of departments and counties and such that most fire department medical won't be going in until active shooter has been taken down, or at least somewhat isolated. We'll go in immediately. That's what we're going to do. It's going to be swift and careful, but it is completely optional for us as firefighters and the police officers to do it. The sheriff doesn't want to force anybody, and our chief doesn't want to force anybody. The reasoning behind that, of course, is some guys purely just wouldn't be able to handle it. And then there's going to be situations, of course. Some of our police officers, many of our police officers and firefighters, kids go to these schools. So me being younger, I of course don't have any kids in these schools. I would hope to think that if the occasion came up, that I would volunteer and do actually go into the school if the horrible situation ever happened, but God forbid it ever does. So it's pretty neat that we do have a policy in place, a program in place. Talking to other departments and other counties in the area, seems to be not everyone is nearly as prepared as us. I'm not saying that we're a leader. I'm not saying that we're perfect, but I'm happy that we do have something in place. So I hope that NFPA does the same thing, so that way these other fire departments and districts and everything can get something in place for these active shooters. We see it more and more common. So I kind of would like to challenge you, if you don't have something truly in place and that you don't work with your local police department or state police or whoever it could be actually in these schools, I would urge you to do so. You think you might be prepared, but until you go into these schools and actually work with the police on how they want things done, and how you need to know what they're saying and understand their communications and stuff, it definitely is an eye-opening experience. So let me know what you guys think. I would love to know what your department has in place, and let me know how you guys kind of do things. I'll talk about some policies and other things like that. If anyone has any questions, I'd be more than happy to go more in depth on our SAFE program, on how we do it, more operational side of things. If anyone has any questions like that, please let me know. I'd love to hear back. Awesome. Thank you guys. Have a good night.